So today, we're going to dive into a new AI development tool from Google called Anti-Gravity, and it's built around this really fascinating idea. What if your job wasn't to write every single line of code? What if you could stop being the code bricklayer and start being the architect who designs the whole building?
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll really get into that core concept, the architect versus the bricklayer. Then, we'll see it in action. We'll draft a blueprint for an app and watch the AI do all the heavy lifting. We'll also cover how you, the architect, stay in charge, how to deploy everything with what is basically a cheat code, and then we'll wrap it all up with the big takeaways.
All right, let's jump right in with the most important idea here, the architect versus the bricklayer. And look, this isn't just some catchy phrase, it's a truly fundamental shift in how we should probably think about what a developer actually does.
You know, for decades, a developer's job has felt a lot like a bricklayer's, right? You're meticulously placing every line of code, every semicolon, one by one. But these new AI tools like Anti-Gravity are basically giving you a promotion. Your new job is to be the architect. You design the high-level blueprint, you make the big strategic calls, and you let an automated system handle the manual labor of laying all those bricks.
And this shift, it might seem really sudden, but it's not. It's actually the next logical step in this 70-year evolution of how we built things. Way back in the 50s, engineers were handwriting raw machine code. Then compilers came along, which let us focus on logic instead of a bunch of ones and zeros. Well, these new AI agents, they're just a modern version of the compiler, taking over the next layer of grunt work.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, as the architect, your most critical job now is crafting a high-quality plan. It's that classic rule, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If you give the AI a vague idea, you're going to get a messy result. But if you give it quality requirements, you're going to get quality code.
To show you what I mean, we're going to build a really simple but honestly super useful app called GuestPass. It solves that problem that every cafe, hotel, or even your own house has. Guests always asking for the Wi-Fi password. With this, you just enter the details once, it spits out a QR code, and your guests can just scan it to connect. Simple, practical, a perfect test.
And this is where the difference between a beginner and an expert just becomes so clear. A novice might just type, "Make me a Wi-Fi app" into the prompt. But an architect? They provide a detailed spec sheet. This quote right here is everything. The quality of what the AI builds is directly tied to the quality of your instructions. So here's where that human experience just makes all the difference. The architect laid out 3 key strategic requirements. First, a lean architecture, using a CDN, a content delivery network, to serve files fast and, importantly, avoid a complex build pipeline. Second, a super important security note. Do not save the QR codes because they literally contain the Wi-Fi password. And third, use a modern stack, specifically a version of Node.js that can run TypeScript natively, which completely gets rid of an entire build step. Now, a generic AI would never guess these things. This comes from the wisdom of an experienced developer.
All right, the blueprint is locked in. Now for the magic. This is the part where the architect gets to lean back and the AI starts laying the bricks.
With those high-quality instructions we just talked about, this autonomous agent just springs to life. And we're not talking about just auto-completing a line of code here and there. No, it's ingesting the entire blueprint and building a whole working application from scratch.
And just look at what it does all on its own. It creates a plan, it writes the front end and the back end code, it spins up the app in a browser, and then this part is just incredible. It independently clicks through the user interface to test its own work. It even takes screenshots of the tests and saves them for you. This is all that tedious stuff developers used to burn hours on.
This is why we call it an agentic AI. That's the key word here. It's not just a passive assistant waiting for you to type the next command. It's an active agent that can plan, execute, and even test really complex, multi-step tasks all by itself.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, so the AI is just taking over completely. But that's not what's happening at all. The human architect is still the boss. That partnership is actually the most critical part of this whole process.
And this quote from the developer who built this, it just says it all. At the end of the day, your name is on this project. You have the final say, and you are responsible for the quality. The AI is an unbelievably powerful tool, but you're still the one in control.
And you can see that control in action. The architect noticed the AI only tested the happy path, when everything works perfectly. So he jumped in and added a new test case for what happens when things go wrong. When the AI planned to do a local Docker build, the developer just left a simple comment like, "Hey, don't do that," and the AI instantly changed its plan. And of course, you can review and approve every single line of code. It really is a collaboration.
So, the app is built, it's tested, and we, the architects, have given it our stamp of approval. Now it's time to get it live on the web, and this is where another piece of modern magic comes into play.
We're using a tool called Cloud Run, which is, and I'm not kidding, basically a serverless cheat code. Instead of worrying about setting up servers or virtual machines, you just give Google your code in a neat little package, and it hands you back a secure, scalable public URL. It means your infrastructure can finally move as fast as the AI that's writing the code. But here's where it gets even crazier. During the deployment, it hit an error, a port mismatch. Now, normally, that means you're digging through logs trying to figure out what went wrong. But here, the agentic AI diagnosed the problem itself, literally stated what the fix was, and just retried. It failed, fixed its own mistake, and then succeeded, all without a human lifting a finger. I mean, think about the time that saves.
So we've just gone from a simple idea to a live application in what feels like record time. What are the big lessons here? What does this all really mean for the future of building software?
Okay, first and foremost, this shift is absolutely real. Your value as a developer is moving up the stack. It's becoming less about the raw syntax of typing code and way more about your experience, your taste, and your ability to design a high-quality blueprint that solves a real-world problem.
Second, and I cannot stress this enough, that word agentic is crucial. This is not just some fancy autocomplete. This is an active partner that plans, that problem solves, that tests its own work, and can even fix its own mistakes. It's a whole new category of tool.
And finally, takeaway number 3. Infrastructure has become a cheat code. When your AI can write an entire application in minutes, you can't afford to spend days setting up servers. These serverless platforms like Cloud Run let your infrastructure keep pace with the incredible speed of AI-driven development.
And that really brings us to the final and most important question. The tools to handle all the manual labor, they're here. The AI is ready to start laying the bricks for you. So the only question left is, what amazing thing will you architect next?